Recently, the last few months, God has done some amazing things, challenged me, challenged the church, but at first it was a struggle. I went to camp in early June, which I love, at Little Galilee, working there, and had a great week, and came home and was ready for a visit with the elders. They set up a meeting with me to visit. I could tell that something was going on in their hearts. Jim shared his message with me about how he was frustrated, and he was, the June meeting, he was all telling the guys, we need to do something. We got to make sure we have something going on, and otherwise we're going to be closing our doors. And so he was praying hard for months, I guess, and he was praying hard. And Steve said he had a similar understanding. But I was in that area of life where I wasn't listening very well to God. And we, as a church, we were struggling. It's safe to say that. I felt maybe it was all my responsibility to figure out how to change things, how to do things. So me being my typical self, I'm an answer man. I like to come up with answers, and they weren't coming. Belinda, my wife, and I, we had many major prayer and discussions, even involving my daughter Stacia, about what the future looked like for us, and not necessarily seeing what God was doing at that time. My wife is the best, and Belinda has to be the best. She's put up with me for almost 30 years in the ministry of struggles and ups and downs. She is a preacher's kid. She has seen the ins and outs of her dad in churches. Not always good. She said that she would never marry a minister. That was an absolute. Then I came along. Short, little chubby, long-haired hippie freak, because I was still adjusting to this newness of being a Christian. She grew up in the church. I grew up on the streets, where I learned a lot of things that have challenged me over the years, now that I'm a Christian. How we met is an absolute miracle. It was at Little Rocky's Christian Camp, and on Wednesday I was absolutely sure I was going to marry her. I prayed about it. It took probably another month and a half to convince her. First of all, she had a boyfriend, tall, dark, and handsome, and so I had to pray him out. So prayer does work, brothers. Met in June, got married in December. That's the power of God. I'm the minister, one of the ministers here at Saybrook Christian Church. Been here 15 years. I started with a step of faith. I had left Oklahoma, finished my master's degree, in between jobs, did some roofing, praying a lot, living with some friends in Kansas, Illinois, and the Lord gave vision and said, here's some churches to put your resume in. Saybrook was one of them. We felt in our hearts God had a plan. After my first sermon here in January of 2004, a couple was standing at the back door, and I remember them saying that they had this vision. They had driven by the park, and they saw a new guy and a new lady playing with their daughter at the park. But it was a white couple with a black child. That's us. We struggled with trying to have a child, trying to figure out what God's plan was for the first 10 years of our marriage. When I was ministering in Kansas, Illinois, and on Easter weekend, this little bundle of joy, 12 days old, came to live with us, Stacy Landry. And what a blessing that she became. I mean, it was a born-again moment in our relationship, in the church that I was ministering to. It was Easter Sunday, talking about new birth, talking about something beautiful, and there I have a brand new 12-day-old child. That was an incredible journey. We've gone through transitions. We've gone through different youth ministers. We've gone through ups and downs. And in each one of them, the guys have got down on their knees and we've prayed. We don't always see what God does right up front. Sometimes it's hindsight. Sometimes it's looking back with the anticipation of, God, where were you and what did you do? I can see just the incredible amount of God's working in all of it. He opened doors that at first I thought, because of selfishness, were not healthy. And now I can see what's going on here, how hearts are changing, how people are changing. I believe God is leading us to this. I believe God is giving us new hope and new vision. And now I see that as an excitement. Seeing what He's done over the last 2 or 3 months, maybe just even longer, how He's put this all together to give vision to the elders and to everybody else to be here. I think it's exciting. But we are planning, we are praying, we are finding what God's mission is for Saybrook Christian Church together, which is exciting. That's a team of Jim and Steve and Kirk and Jonathan and I working together, planning, seeing, listening to God. What does God want? Does God want us just to listen and step out by faith? Walk with faith with us. Come and see what God is going to do with Saybrook Christian Church.